Welcome back to Racing Across America. We're joined now by Michael Chamberlain from Turf Paradise. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
Yeah, we missed you last week. You were a little under the weather, but let me check in and ask how your Thanksgiving was.
Thanksgiving was excellent. We did the Chamberlain traditional crab legs, so it was.
Nice.
Oh yeah. We don't
crab legs
we don't,
and turkey, or just crab legs?
No, just crab legs and some mashed potatoes. Oh yeah. We do it right. We do it right. Absolutely.
I like that. You're supposed to be based. Well, no, I was going to say based in Maryland, but that's more soft shell crab. That sounds pretty good. I may have to do that next year. I may have to fire up the crab legs. But let's talk a little bit. Speaking of the holiday weekend, before we get to some thoughts on racing at Turf Paradise this afternoon, I had a couple of nice, interesting little stakes Saturday out there. Wanted to pull up first the early stake on the card. The Queen of the Green, a mile on the turf for fillies and mares 3-year-olds and up. And a little bit of a surprise. Why is it a surprise? Because Rick's Pretentious Gal, the Robertino Diodoro horse, runs second in here as the 2-to-1 favorite. A little bit of an upset at 8-to-1. It's Lady Rosberg getting it done. Lady Rosberg will be the number 4 horse. Number 3, Rick's Pretentious Gal, again, will run second in here. So Robertino Diodoro gets upset. I thought Maker or Breaker might be interesting in here. Wound up to be the second choice at 5-2, but Maker or Breaker kind of disappointing, running 7th in this race. Lady Rosberg, 15-1 on the morning line, off at 8, but came into this winning 3 of the last 4 before this race.
Well, Maker or Breaker, that's actually the first clunker she's thrown in. She had won 2 stakes races previously this season at Turf Paradise, and Lady Rosberg sat just an absolutely perfect trip most of the way around the racetrack. Rock and Glory and Scott Stevens had set the pace throughout the first 3/4 of a mile. Lady Rosberg was just kind of right there, hanging right behind her. And when the time came to make the move as the field entered the stretch, Lady Rosberg got the jump, and Rick's Pretentious Gal, who had been sitting mid-pack, I think had to wait an extra beat or two, and I think that's what ended up costing her at least getting up in time to beat out Lady Rosberg, who ran a really nice race, and it was a very good ride from Galen Mitchell.
But the order of the world gets back to normal later on. The Walter R. Kluwer Memorial, a little later in the day for 3-year-olds and up, again, a mile on the turf, and it'll be the number 4 Storm Power getting it done for Robertino Diodoro as the 9-5 favorite, and things pretty much stay on form with the 7-2 second choice Fast Track running in second in here. What were your thoughts on the Kluwer?
Storm Power really ran a great race, just took over right at the top of the stretch, and at that point, all business was taken care of because Storm Power has now won a couple of times here this season on the turf and has done very nicely, and I think this is a very nice horse that Robertino has and could go on to do some pretty nice things throughout the rest of the season.
And I'm just looking, the jockey Franco, he's fighting at 38% at the meet.
He is really doing great. Him and Scott Stevens and the typical names. Jorge Carino is also winning his share of races, but Giovanni is really having a stellar start to the season here at Turf Paradise. It's hard to believe we're already a month and a half into the meet, but we are.
Yeah, that's what stood out to me. You're far enough in that 38% really sticks out. Diodoro also at about 38%, but he's going to knock it out of the park. On the jockey side, I think it's a little bit tougher, but a big start to the meet, absolutely. All right, let's take a look at some of the action for today. Before we do that, a little update on the weather out in your neck of the woods.
It's going to be a nice day today, a little overcast, maybe some clouds still in the air. They may burn off a little later on today, and we may get the sun out, but temperature is going to be in the low 70s, typical nice Arizona afternoon.
Nice, and that's going to work out well for the first race we're going to take a look at, which is the 6th race, and it's going to work out because this one is on the grass. $9,000 to $10,000 claimers, fillies and mares 3-year-olds and up. They'll go 7.5 on the turf. Your thoughts in the 6th?
I'm going to go to the horse on the outside, Do Whopper. This horse scored a win on the turf on November 23rd, and the jockey Ernesto Oro is a new name here at Turf Paradise, but he has been winning his fair share of races. He's hitting at about almost a 20% clip so far, and he did win with this horse last time out at odds of 4.5 to 1. I doubt you're going to get that price today, 7-2 on the morning line. Horse is dropping a little bit in class off of an allowance win there, but the horse, if you look at the back class, was running, I should say, at tracks in Kentucky, Keeneland, Churchill, Ellis Park, and he had a stop at Belterra back in August. So this horse comes to us from some pretty good racing company, and I think this one's possibly ready to put forth a big effort here on the turf.
All right, number 8, Dew Whopper in the 6th. Let's look out at race number 7 this afternoon. Optional claimer for $16,000 tags. Non-winners are one other than the condition. They're going to go 6.5. Your thoughts in the 7th?
I'm going to go with the 7, Kuzan. This is actually my single in my pick 5 sequence today. Has been the betting favorite in the last 3, a less than even money favorite in the last 2, and that includes the score here at Turf Paradise on November 4th. Scott Stevens, who's having another great season. He's at 27% for the season so far. He had the ride on that win on November 4th. Horse worked just last week on November 24th, going a half mile in 48-2 to keep primed for trainer David Wallachuk. And this horse was a Keeneland purchase back in September of 2011. And, 3 or 4 in the top 2 at Turf Paradise. I think there's a lot to like here. And I know you have a Diodoro horse at a price in here and even a Chambers horse at a price in here. But I'm going to go ahead and take Kuzan to go ahead and get the job done at 5-2 on the morning line.
All right, number 7, Kuzan in race number 7. Michael had Tony Kalo on a few minutes ago, and we talked to him about some of the stakes action from across the country. I know, like him, you are a interested watcher of all the racing from the various venues, and what a big holiday weekend it was, starting really with Thanksgiving Day and going right through the weekend. The Turf Festival out at Del Mar, highlighted by California Chrome and the Hollywood Derby, the Clark, the Cigar Mile. Let's talk a little bit about some of the impressions you had over the weekend. But let's start, because we talked about this during the break, and I want to get your take. Talked a little bit about it with Tony. California Chrome and the Hollywood Derby.
I think he probably stands himself as Horse of the Year with that performance. Because I had been on the main sequence bandwagon because he was perfect. 4 for 4 different racetracks, 4 different Grade 1 wins, and I really thought that he was going to be the one. But, it's Horse of the Year, which is the entire year. The year doesn't end at the Breeders' Cup. And for California Chrome to now go out and do what he did on the turf, and also to run the race he ran in the Classic, which I thought was the best of anybody. I thought California Chrome ran the best race in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and it's just he couldn't get past the first 2 in the stretch. But what he did in the spring and his entire body of work for the year, I think, makes California Chrome Horse of the Year.
Yeah, and the sentiment may be turning that way. I said over the weekend on Sunday I was going to be interested to see over the next few days what the pundits would have to say, and I'm hearing more and more of that. It's going to be very intriguing to see how that plays out when the Eclipse of Votes come in. Let's talk a little bit more about some of the other action. Opportunity in the Clark, Private Zone in the Cigar Mile. Your thoughts there? Or if you want to touch on the 2-year-old races, we had 2-year-old races in New York and Churchill Downs, 2-year-old stakes, but even more notable maybe the Baffert runner in the allowance event at Churchill Downs, Dortmund, who wound up to be the shortest individual price on the Kentucky Derby Future.
Yeah, that certainly was a very nice performance, and certainly is going to stamp that one as one to keep an eye on going through. But I thought the performance of the weekend was Private Zone. I mean, just the way that he ran away from the field in the Cigar Mile was really impressive. And was kind of the thing we were expecting a little bit more out of him, maybe from in the Breeders' Cup race. But he absolutely took control of that race, and it was game over. I thought Private Zone's race in the Cigar Mile was really impressive and a visually stunning effort, and I thought it was a very good run. And it was nice to see Opportunity come back too, and get the win in the Clark, because I know there were a lot of people that were backing him as far as the Kentucky Derby went at Churchill Downs before he had to be scratched earlier this year. So it was good to see him come back and get a win. Big weekend for Baffert,
Yeah.
We say that a lot, but yeah, it was a big weekend for him, because he had a horse that he had a 3-year-old this year, and now he's got a 3-year-old next year. So it may be maybe another Baffert spring coming up.
Yeah, it's Bob Baffert's world, and the rest of us just live in it sometimes as it works out. Michael, as always, we appreciate the visit. Good luck this afternoon. We'll talk to you again, excuse me, next week.